It was just last week when I stumbled upon a message on her phone from someone named Logan. My heart skipped a beat. This wasn't the usual chatter with her friends or colleagues. There was something different, something that sent a shiver down my spine. Jennifer came home later than usual that night, her cheeks flushed with a bright, almost unnatural color, and her eyes sparkling with a light I hadn't seen in years. I tried to dismiss the nagging feeling gnawing at my gut, but it lingered, growing stronger with each passing minute. She had gone to the traditional crafts festival in Vermont. Jennifer had always had a passion for handicrafts and folk art, something that had drawn us closer together when we first met. We used to attend these festivals together, marveling at the intricate work of the artisans. But this time, she went alone. Later that evening, as she showered, I couldn't resist looking through the photos on her phone. I found dozens of pictures from the festival, each more beautiful than the last. But among the many photos of handmade crafts and colorful booths, there were several of her with a man in traditional craftsman attire. He looked as though he had been carved from wood and brought to life by ancient spells. Doubt started to creep in. When she came out of the bathroom, I casually asked her about the festival. Her responses were vague, avoiding specifics about who she had met. She said the workshops were amazing and the atmosphere was incredible, but she didn't mention Logan. I remembered the times we had spent at such events, the joy in her eyes as she admired the craftsmanship. But now, that same joy seemed to be directed at someone else. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to dig deeper. A quick internet search revealed who Logan was. Logan Wright, a renowned master woodcarver. His work was celebrated for its detail and creativity, traits that I knew Jennifer admired deeply. The next day, unable to contain my suspicions any longer, I confronted Jennifer directly. "Who is Logan?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Her face went pale, and for a moment she was silent. After what felt like an eternity, she admitted to meeting Logan at the festival. She spoke about him with a kind of reverence, describing his talent and how his work had captivated her. Her eyes lit up as she recounted their conversations, and I realized with a sinking feeling that this wasn't just about art. As she continued, the truth slowly unraveled. She confessed that they had shared several dinners, talking late into the night about art and life. Those moments were special to her, more than she had ever let on. A wave of jealousy and hurt washed over me. I could barely believe what I was hearing. My wife, my Jennifer, had found solace and excitement in another man. I asked her if she loved Logan, and her hesitation before answering told me everything I needed to know. She didn't know. She was confused, caught between her fascination with Logan and her life with me. We talked for hours that night. I suggested she take some time alone to figure out her feelings, and with a heavy heart, she agreed. We decided to separate temporarily, giving each other the space we needed. Weeks passed, each day more agonizing than the last. I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened, analyzing every moment, every word we had exchanged. I realized how much I still loved her, despite everything. One evening, Jennifer returned. She looked different, more composed. She told me she had spent the time reflecting on her feelings and had come to understand that Logan was just an infatuation, a reflection of her passion for art. She asked for forgiveness, and I knew in my heart that I was willing to give it. We decided to start over, with new perspectives on our lives and relationship, promising each other to trust more and share our thoughts and feelings openly. It was a new beginning, a chance to rebuild what we had almost lost, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. The memory of the message and our confrontation still weighed heavily on my mind, but I needed to understand what exactly had happened at the festival. I needed to know how it all began. So, I asked Jennifer to recount her experience at the traditional crafts festival in Vermont, hoping to piece together the fragments of our unraveling story. Jennifer sat across from me at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee. She looked nervous, her eyes flickering between mine and the steam rising from her cup. Finally, she began. "It was a beautiful day when I arrived at the festival," she said, her voice soft and tinged with nostalgia. "The sun was shining, and there was a cool breeze. The whole place was alive with colors and sounds, People laughing and chatting, the scent of fresh wood and earthy clay in the air. She described walking through the rows of booths, each one showcasing different traditional crafts: pottery, weaving, blacksmithing, and of course, wood carving. It was at the wood carving booth that she first met Logan. I was admiring a beautiful sculpture of a hawk in mid-flight when Logan approached me, she said, her eyes momentarily lighting up as she recalled the moment. He introduced himself and started talking about his work, explaining the techniques he used and the inspiration behind his pieces. I was fascinated by his passion and knowledge. I could almost picture it, Jennifer, entranced by Logan's enthusiasm and the intricate beauty of his work. It was easy to see how she could be drawn to someone who shared her love for art in such an intense way. Logan invited me to join one of his workshops, she continued. I hesitated at first, but he was so persuasive. I ended up spending hours there, carving my own small piece under his guidance. He was patient and encouraging, and I felt a connection with him that I hadn't felt in a long time. Her words stung, but I kept my emotions in check. I needed to hear the whole story. After the workshop, Logan suggested we grab dinner and continue our conversation. I agreed, thinking it was just two artists sharing ideas and experiences. We talked for hours, not just about art, but about life, dreams, and passions. It was refreshing and exciting. She paused, taking a sip of her coffee. I could see the conflict in her eyes as she struggled to explain what happened next. Over the next few days, we kept meeting up. He showed me around the festival, introduced me to other artisans, and we attended more workshops together. Each encounter felt more personal, more intimate. I started to look forward to seeing him, to our conversation. Jennifer's voice grew quieter. It wasn't until the last night of the festival that I realized how deep my feelings had grown. We were sitting by the fire, watching the stars, and he reached out to hold my hand. It felt so right, but at the same time, so wrong. I pulled away, overwhelmed by guilt and confusion. I knew I had crossed a line, even if nothing physical had happened. Listening to her, I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief. She had been honest with me finally, and that was a start. I came home, hoping to forget about Logan and focus on our life together, Jennifer said, tears welling up in her eyes. But the memories kept haunting me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I had betrayed you. I reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. Thank you for telling me, I said, my voice thick with emotion. I know it wasn't easy. We sat there in silence for a while, holding hands and contemplating the fragile state of our relationship. The road to healing was going to be long and challenging, but at least we had taken the first step together. As the days passed, Jennifer and I began to rebuild our trust. We talked more openly about our feelings, our fears, and our hopes for the future. It wasn't easy, but we were determined to make it work. The shadow of Logan still lingered, but it was starting to fade, replaced by the growing light of our renewed commitment to each other. The uneasy peace between Jennifer and me didn't last long. Each time she mentioned the festival, or even casually brought up wood carving, I felt a stab of jealousy and pain. I knew I couldn't keep these emotions bottled up. I needed to confront the source of my agony. Logan Wright. One evening, while Jennifer was out running errands, I sat down at the computer and began my search. Logan Wright's name wasn't hard to find. His work was well known in the art community, and there were several articles and interviews featuring him. I studied his face in the photos, his rugged handsomeness, the confident smile, the intense eyes that seemed to hold secrets. I understood why Jennifer had been drawn to him, but that didn't make it any easier to accept. Scrolling through his social media profiles, I saw numerous posts about his work and the festivals he attended. My heart pounded as I stumbled upon a photo of him with Jennifer at the festival. They were standing close, smiling at the camera, her hand resting lightly on his arm. The caption read, "Wonderful time with amazing people at the Vermont Traditional Crafts Festival." I couldn't take it anymore. I found Logan's contact information on his website and typed out an email before I could change my mind. Logan. My name is Mark, Jennifer's husband. We need to talk. Mark. I hesitated for a moment, then hit send. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of anxiety and second-guessing. What would I say to him? What did I hope to achieve? I knew I needed closure, but confronting him directly felt like stepping into a storm. The next morning, I received a reply. Mark, I'm willing to talk. Let's meet. Here's my number. Logan. My hands trembled as I dialed his number, each ring echoing in my ears. Finally, he answered. Hello? Logan, it's Mark, Jennifer's husband. There was a pause before he responded, his voice calm and measured. I figured you'd reach out eventually. I'm sorry for any pain I've caused. Where and when do you want to meet? We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe downtown the following afternoon. The hours leading up to our meeting were torturous. I kept replaying scenarios in my mind, trying to prepare for every possible outcome. When I arrived at the cafe, Logan was already there, seated at a corner table. He looked up as I approached, a mix of curiosity and apprehension in his eyes. We shook hands awkwardly and sat down. Thank you for meeting me, I began, trying to keep my voice steady. Logan nodded. I understand this must be difficult for you. I took a deep breath, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. I need to know what happened between you and Jennifer. She told me about the festival, about how she felt drawn to you. I need to hear your side of the story. Logan sighed, looking genuinely remorseful. Mark, I never intended to come between you and Jennifer. She's a remarkable woman, and I was captivated by her passion for art. We connected on a deep level, but it was never my intention to cause any harm. He explained how their relationship had developed over the course of the festival, mirroring much of what Jennifer had already told me. They had shared intense conversations about their crafts, dreams, and life philosophies. It became clear that their bond had been rooted in mutual respect and admiration, but had teetered on the edge of something more. Did you ever? I couldn't finish the question, but Logan understood. No, he said firmly. We never crossed that line. There was a moment when we almost did, but she pulled away. She couldn't betray you, Mark. His words brought a small measure of relief, but the pain was still there. Why didn't you back off when you realized what was happening? Logan looked down, guilt evident on his face. I should have. But I was caught up in the moment, in the connection we had. I'm sorry. I regret that it caused you pain. Silence settled between us, heavy with unspoken emotions. Finally, I spoke. I appreciate your honesty. I'm trying to rebuild my relationship with Jennifer, but it's hard with you still lingering in the background. I understand, Logan said quietly. If it helps, I'll step back. I won't contact her again. She's your wife, and I respect that. As I left the cafe, I felt a strange mixture of emotions. Confronting Logan had been necessary, and his willingness to step back provided a sliver of solace. But the road to healing was still long, and the trust between Jennifer and me had been deeply shaken. Returning home, I found Jennifer waiting for me, her eyes filled with concern. How did it go? She asked softly. I took her hand, squeezing it gently. We talked. He's agreed to step back, to give us space to heal. Tears welled up in her eyes as she hugged me tightly. Thank you, Mark. I want us to work through this, to come out stronger on the other side. I held her close, realizing that despite everything, I still loved her deeply. We had taken another step toward healing, and I was determined to fight for our marriage. In the days following my meeting with Logan, a heavy weight seemed to lift from our home. Jennifer and I talked more openly than we had in years, sharing our thoughts and fears with a newfound honesty. Yet, beneath the surface, the uncertainty lingered. We both knew that a decision had to be made about our future. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow through our living room, I broached the subject that had been gnawing at me. Jennifer, we need to figure out where we go from here, I said, my voice steady but filled with an underlying tension. She nodded, her eyes reflecting a mixture of sadness and determination. I know. I've been thinking about it a lot. I don't want to lose what we have, Mark, but I also don't want to ignore the issues that led us to this point. I appreciated her honesty, though it didn't make the situation any easier. Do you still have feelings for Logan? I asked, needing to hear her answer one more time. Jennifer took a deep breath, considering her words carefully. I think I was infatuated with the idea of him, with the passion he brought into my life, but I realize now that it was a temporary escape from the challenges we were facing. I don't love him, Mark. I love you, but we have to address why I felt the need to escape in the first place. Her words resonated with me. We had become complacent, taking each other for granted, and letting the spark that once defined our relationship fade away. It was time to reignite that spark, to rediscover what had brought us together in the first place. I agree, I said, reaching out to take her hand. We've both made mistakes, but we need to decide if we're willing to put in the effort to rebuild our relationship. It won't be easy, but I think it's worth it. Jennifer squeezed my hand, a small smile playing on her lips. I want to try, Mark. I want us to be happy again, to feel that connection we once had. But we need to be honest with each other, even when it's difficult. I nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope. Then let's start now. Let's be completely open about our feelings, our fears, and what we want for our future. We spent the next few hours talking, laying everything out on the table. Jennifer confessed that she had felt neglected and unappreciated, while I admitted to my own failings in our relationship. We discussed our dreams and aspirations, rediscovering the shared goals that had once united us. One of the most important steps was deciding to seek professional help. We found a marriage counselor and scheduled our first session. It was a daunting prospect, but we both recognized the need for guidance in navigating the complexities of our emotions. As the weeks passed, we attended counseling sessions together, learning to communicate more effectively and rebuild the trust that had been shattered. The process was slow and often painful, but with each session, we felt a bit more connected. Outside of counseling, we made a conscious effort to spend quality time together. We revisited old hobbies, took weekend trips, and even started attending local art classes. It was in these moments that we began to rediscover the joy and passion that had initially drawn us to each other. One particularly memorable weekend, we decided to visit a small town known for its artisan community. It was reminiscent of the festival where everything had begun to unravel, but this time, we were determined to create positive memories together. Walking through the bustling streets hand in hand, we marveled at the craftsmanship on display. Jennifer's eyes sparkled with genuine excitement, and for the first time in months, I felt a sense of peace. We stopped at a wood-carving booth, where an elderly craftsman was demonstrating his skills. As we watched, Jennifer turned to me, her eyes filled with love and gratitude. Thank you, Mark, for giving us a second chance. I know it hasn't been easy, but I'm so grateful for your forgiveness and for the opportunity to rebuild our life together. I smiled, pulling her into a gentle embrace. I'm grateful too, Jennifer. We've come a long way, and I believe we're stronger for it. I love you. I love you too, she whispered, her voice full of emotion. As we continued our walk, I realized that while the scars of the past would always be there, they no longer defined us. We had made a conscious decision to move forward, to fight for our love and our future. And in that decision, we had found a renewed sense of hope and purpose. Our journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, I felt confident that we were on the right path. Together, we could face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that our bond was stronger than ever before. Despite our progress, the lingering doubt and unresolved emotions weighed heavily on our hearts. Jennifer and I both recognized the need for a brief separation to truly understand our feelings and determine the future of our relationship. It was a difficult decision, but we believed that some time apart might provide clarity. Jennifer suggested staying with her sister, Emily, who lived a few hours away. Emily had always been a supportive presence in Jennifer's life, and I knew she would be in good hands. We discussed the plan with our marriage counselor, who agreed that a temporary separation could help us gain perspective. The night before Jennifer was set to leave, we sat together in the living room, the silence between us heavy with unspoken words. I reached for her hand, holding it tightly. I'm going to miss you, I said, my voice trembling slightly. But I believe this time apart will help us both. Jennifer nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. I'll miss you too, Mark. I hope this time will allow us to find clarity and come back stronger. We spent that night holding each other, finding comfort in our shared embrace. The next morning, I helped her pack her bags, each item a painful reminder of the uncertainty we faced. As Jennifer drove away, I stood in the driveway, watching her car disappear down the road. A profound sense of loneliness settled over me, but I knew this separation was necessary. The first few days were the hardest. The emptiness of our home was overwhelming, and I found myself constantly thinking about Jennifer. I tried to distract myself with work and hobbies, but the ache in my heart remained. In an effort to cope, I began journaling, pouring my thoughts and emotions onto the pages. Writing helped me process my feelings, and I found myself reflecting on our relationship in ways I hadn't before. I realized how much I had taken Jennifer for granted, and how little effort I had put into maintaining the spark that had initially brought us together. Meanwhile, Jennifer kept in touch through occasional phone calls and texts. She shared that she was doing the same, reflecting on her own feelings and the reasons behind her infatuation with Logan. Her time with Emily provided her with the support and space she needed to gain clarity. One evening, about 2 weeks into our separation, I received a call from Jennifer. Her voice sounded stronger, more resolved. "Mark, I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began. I realized now that my feelings for Logan were a wake-up call. I was seeking something that was missing in our relationship, something we had lost over the years. "But being away from you has made me understand that I don't want anyone else. I want us to work through this and rebuild what we have." Her words filled me with hope. "I've been reflecting too, Jennifer. I know I've made mistakes and I'm committed to making things right. I love you, and I want to fight for our marriage." We decided to meet halfway between our homes at a small park. The anticipation and nervousness were palpable as I drove to the meeting place. When I arrived, I saw Jennifer sitting on a bench, looking out at the lake. She turned as I approached, a tentative smile on her face. We embraced, holding each other tightly, as if afraid to let go. Sitting on the bench, we talked for hours, sharing our reflections and reaffirming our commitment to each other. The separation had provided us with the clarity we needed, and we both felt more determined than ever to rebuild our relationship. Jennifer and I agreed to set new boundaries and make conscious efforts to keep our connection strong. We would prioritize quality time together, communicate openly, and support each other's passions. We knew it wouldn't be easy, but we were willing to put in the work. As we walked back to our cars hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Our time apart had been painful, but it had also been necessary for our growth. We had faced our fears and doubts head on, and in doing so, we had found a path forward. Returning home together, we felt a sense of unity and purpose. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but we were ready to face it together, armed with the lessons we had learned and the love that had brought us back to each other. Our love was imperfect, but it was real. And as we stood on the threshold of a new chapter in our lives, I knew that we had the strength to overcome whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, we could rebuild and create a future filled with love, trust, and shared dreams. Coming back together after our time apart was like starting anew. Jennifer and I were determined to rebuild the trust that had been shattered, but we knew it would take time and effort. Our commitment to each other had been reaffirmed, and now it was time to put that commitment into action. Our first step was setting boundaries. We agreed to be completely transparent with each other about our activities and interactions. Jennifer shared her phone and social media passwords with me, and I did the same for her. This openness helped ease the lingering doubts and suspicions, allowing us to rebuild the foundation of trust that our relationship had been missing. We also decided to continue with marriage counseling. Our counselor, Dr. Harris, had been a guiding light through the tumultuous period, and we knew that ongoing sessions would help us navigate the complex emotions and challenges that lay ahead. During one of our sessions, Dr. Harris suggested an exercise to help us reconnect on a deeper level. We were to write letters to each other, expressing our feelings, fears, and hopes for the future. The idea was to communicate openly and honestly, without the fear of immediate reaction or judgment. That evening, We sat down in our separate corners of the house, each armed with a pen and paper. The task was daunting, but I felt it was necessary. I poured my heart into the letter, expressing my pain from the betrayal, my regrets about my own shortcomings, and my deep love for Jennifer. I wrote about my hopes for our future, my commitment to making our relationship stronger, and my desire to rediscover the joy and passion that had once defined us. When we exchanged letters the next day, the experience was both cathartic and enlightening. Reading Jennifer's words, I saw her vulnerability, her remorse, and her unwavering love for me. She acknowledged her mistakes and shared her determination to make things right. Her honesty touched me deeply, and I felt a renewed sense of connection and understanding. As part of our efforts to rebuild trust, we made a conscious effort to spend more quality time together. We planned weekly date nights, alternating between quiet dinners at home and outings to places we both enjoyed. We revisited old hobbies, such as hiking and painting, finding joy in shared experiences and the simple pleasure of each other's company. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to the mountains. It was a place that held special memories for us, a place where we had once celebrated anniversaries and birthdays, and where we had always found solace in nature's beauty. As we hiked through the familiar trails, the crisp mountain air filled our lungs, and the vibrant colors of the forest surrounded us. At the summit, we sat down on a large rock, looking out at the breathtaking view. Jennifer leaned against me, and I wrapped my arm around her, feeling a sense of peace that had been absent for so long. "Thank you for being patient with me, Mark," she said softly. "I know this hasn't been easy, but I'm grateful for your forgiveness and for the chance to make things right." I kissed her forehead, feeling the warmth of her skin against my lips. "We're in this together, Jennifer. I'm grateful for you too, for your honesty and your willingness to fight for us. We've come a long way, and I believe we're stronger for it." Our conversations became more meaningful, our interactions more genuine. We practiced active listening, ensuring that we truly heard and understood each other's perspectives. We learned to express our needs and desires without fear of rejection or judgment. Trust building also extended to our social lives. We made a point to spend time with friends and family, allowing them to see our progress and support our journey. Their encouragement and belief in us provided additional strength and motivation. One evening, as we sat by the fireplace, sipping hot cocoa and reminiscing about the early days of our relationship, Jennifer took my hand and looked into my eyes. "I know we still have a long way to go," she said, her voice steady and sincere. "But I want you to know that I'm committed to this, to us. I believe in our love, and I believe we can create a beautiful future together." Tears welled up in my eyes as I squeezed her hand. "I believe that too, Jennifer. We've faced so much, but we've also discovered how strong our love can be. I'm ready to move forward with you, to continue rebuilding our trust and creating new memories." As the fire crackled and the warmth enveloped us, I felt a deep sense of hope and optimism. The road ahead would undoubtedly have its challenges, but we were ready to face them together. We had chosen each other, and that choice had given us the strength to rebuild, to heal, and to love more deeply than ever before. Just as Jennifer and I were beginning to feel more secure in our relationship, an unexpected challenge threatened to unravel our progress. Logan Wright, the man who had inadvertently become a catalyst for our marital crisis, resurfaced in our lives in a way we hadn't anticipated. It started innocently enough. One day, as Jennifer was browsing her social media feed, she stumbled upon a post from Logan. He had been invited to speak at a prestigious art symposium in our city, and the event was being widely promoted in the local art community. His face was plastered on flyers and announcements, bringing back memories that Jennifer and I had worked hard to overcome. She showed me the post. Her expression conflicted. "Mark, Logan's going to be in town for the symposium. I just wanted you to know before you hear about it from someone else." I appreciated her honesty, but the news stirred a storm of emotions within me. I tried to push them aside, focusing on our commitment to transparency and trust. "Thanks for telling me," I said, forcing a smile. "We've come a long way. Let's not let this derail us." Jennifer nodded, but I could see the worry in her eyes. We agreed to avoid the symposium, and continue focusing on our relationship. However, as the event drew nearer, the pressure began to mount. The art community was abuzz with excitement, and several of our friends and acquaintances planned to attend. One evening, Jennifer received an email from the symposium organizer. They wanted her to participate in a panel discussion on contemporary folk art, a topic close to her heart. She looked at me, her eyes filled with uncertainty. "Mark, they've invited me to speak at the symposium," she said, holding up her phone. "It's a huge opportunity, but I don't want to do anything that could jeopardize our progress." My initial reaction was one of panic, but I took a deep breath and considered the situation. This was a significant professional opportunity for Jennifer, and I didn't want my insecurities to hold her back. "Jennifer, this is important for your career. I trust you. If you feel comfortable doing it, then I support you." Her eyes welled up with tears of gratitude. "Thank you, Mark. I promise I'll be careful. I won't let anything come between us." The day of the symposium arrived, and Jennifer prepared meticulously for her panel discussion. I decided to attend as well, both to support her and to confront my lingering fears. As we entered the venue, the bustling energy of the art community surrounded us, and I felt a mix of pride and anxiety. Jennifer's panel was a resounding success. She spoke eloquently about her work and the importance of preserving traditional crafts. The audience responded enthusiastically, and I couldn't have been prouder of her. However, my relief was short-lived. As the panel concluded, Logan approached Jennifer. He congratulated her on her presentation, his demeanor polite and respectful. "Jennifer, you were amazing up there. It's great to see you thriving." Jennifer thanked him, her tone cordial but distant. I stood beside her, my presence a silent reminder of our journey and the boundaries we had established. Logan turned to me, extending his hand. "Mark, it's good to see you again. I hope there are no hard feelings." I shook his hand, my grip firm. "We've moved past what happened. We're focused on our future." He nodded, a hint of understanding in his eyes. "I'm glad to hear that. I wish you both the best." As Logan walked away, I felt a sense of closure. His presence no longer held the power it once did. Jennifer and I had faced him together, and our bond had proven stronger. However, the real test came later that evening. After the symposium, there was a networking event, and Logan was among the attendees. Jennifer and I decided to stay for a while, mingling with other artists and enjoying the vibrant atmosphere. At one point, I saw Jennifer talking to Logan again, this time in a more animated conversation. I felt a familiar pang of jealousy and fear. My mind raced with insecurities, wondering if old feelings might resurface. Unable to stand by idly, I approached them. As I neared, I overheard Jennifer saying, "I appreciate your support, Logan, but I'm committed to Mark. We've worked hard to rebuild our relationship and I won't do anything to jeopardize that." Logan nodded, his expression sincere. "I understand, Jennifer. I respect your commitment. I just wanted to express my admiration for your work." I joined them, placing my hand on Jennifer's shoulder. "Everything okay?" Jennifer smiled, her eyes meeting mine with unwavering love. "Yes, everything's fine. Logan was just congratulating me on my presentation." Logan excused himself, leaving Jennifer and me alone. She turned to me, her expression earnest. "Mark, you're the only one I want. I hope you know that." I pulled her into a tight embrace, feeling a surge of relief and love. "I do, Jennifer. And I'm sorry for doubting. We're stronger than this." As we left the event hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of confidence in our relationship. We had faced the challenge of Logan's return and emerged even stronger. The experience had tested our trust, but it had also reinforced our commitment to each other. The road to healing was ongoing, but we were navigating it together, side by side. Our love had been tested, but it had also been reaffirmed, and in that affirmation, we found the strength to continue building a future filled with trust, respect, and unwavering devotion. After successfully navigating the challenge of Logan's return, Jennifer and I felt a renewed sense of commitment to our relationship. We decided to take a more proactive approach in rekindling the joy and passion that had once defined our love. It was time to rediscover the simple pleasures and shared interests that had brought us together in the first place. We started by planning a weekend getaway to a cozy cabin in the mountains. The idea was to escape the daily grind, disconnect from the outside world, and focus entirely on each other. As we packed our bags, excitement buzzed between us, reminiscent of the early days of our relationship. The drive to the cabin was filled with laughter and lighthearted conversations. We sang along to our favorite songs, reminiscing about old memories and creating new ones. It felt like we were embarking on a new adventure, leaving behind the weight of the past. Upon arriving at the cabin, we were greeted by the serene beauty of nature. The cabin was nestled in a secluded area, surrounded by towering trees and the soothing sounds of a nearby stream. We unpacked our things and settled in, savoring the tranquility of our surroundings. That evening, we decided to cook dinner together. It was a simple meal, grilled vegetables, a fresh salad, and a bottle of wine, but the act of preparing it together brought us closer. We laughed as we chopped vegetables, danced around the kitchen to soft music, and shared stories from our day. The food tasted better because we had made it together, each bite a testament to our renewed connection. After dinner, we sat by the fireplace, wrapped in a cozy blanket. The flickering flames cast a warm glow, and we talked late into the night. We spoke about our dreams, our fears, and our hopes for the future. The openness and vulnerability of our conversations strengthened our bond, reaffirming our commitment to each other. The next day, we decided to explore the surrounding trails. Hiking had always been a shared passion, and it felt invigorating to reconnect with nature. As we trekked through the forest, we held hands, occasionally stopping to admire the breathtaking views. We found a secluded spot by the stream and sat down, enjoying a quiet moment together. "Remember when we used to do this all the time?" Jennifer asked, leaning her head on my shoulder. I smiled, kissing the top of her head. "I do. I've missed this, being out in nature with you, just enjoying each other's company." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with love and determination. "Let's make a promise to do this more often, to prioritize us and the things we love." "I promise," I said, squeezing her hand. "We're in this together." As the weekend drew to a close, we felt rejuvenated and more connected than ever. The trip had reminded us of the joy that lay in the simple things: shared meals, long walks, and heartfelt conversations. We returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to keep the spark alive. Back in our daily routine, we made a conscious effort to integrate more moments of joy into our lives. We set aside time each week for date nights, exploring new restaurants, attending art exhibitions, and even trying out activities like pottery and dance classes. Each experience brought us closer, allowing us to discover new facets of each other. One evening, while browsing through old photo albums, we stumbled upon pictures from our early years together. We laughed at the memories, marveling at how much we had grown and changed. The nostalgia sparked an idea: why not recreate some of our favorite moments? We started with our first date, revisiting the quaint little cafe where we had spent hours talking and getting to know each other. The cafe had changed over the years, but the essence of that initial connection remained. Sitting at the same table, sipping coffee and sharing stories, it felt like we were falling in love all over again. We continued to recreate other memorable moments: a picnic in the park, a spontaneous road trip to the coast, and even a return to the place where I had proposed. Each recreated moment was a celebration of our journey, a testament to the love that had endured despite the challenges. In the midst of these efforts, we also focused on creating new memories. We took up gardening, transforming our backyard into a lush oasis where we could relax and unwind. We hosted dinner parties for friends and family, filling our home with laughter and love. And we made a point to support each other's individual passions, cheering each other on in our respective endeavors. One of the most significant new memories we created was our decision to renew our wedding vows. It was a symbolic gesture, a way to affirm our commitment and celebrate the resilience of our love. Surrounded by close friends and family, we stood together and pledged to continue building a future filled with trust, respect, and unwavering devotion. As we exchanged vows, I looked into Jennifer's eyes, and saw the same spark that had drawn me to her all those years ago. Our journey had been far from perfect, but it was ours. And in that moment, I knew that we had not only survived the storm, but had emerged stronger and more connected than ever before. Rediscovering joy had been a transformative experience, reminding us of the beauty in the everyday moments and the power of love to heal and rebuild. We had faced the darkness together and found our way back to the light. And as we embarked on this new chapter of our lives, we did so with hearts full of hope, gratitude, and a deep, abiding love. Our newfound joy and sense of connection was soon put to the test when an unexpected opportunity arose for Jennifer. She was offered a prestigious position as the lead curator at a renowned art museum in New York City. It was a dream job for her, one that promised to elevate her career to new heights. However, it also meant uprooting our lives and moving across the country, leaving behind everything we had built in our small town. When Jennifer first received the offer, she was ecstatic. She came home from work, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Mark, you won't believe this. I got an offer to be the lead curator at the Metropolitan Museum of Art." She handed me the letter, her hands trembling with excitement. I read the letter, feeling a mix of pride and anxiety. This was an incredible opportunity for Jennifer, but it also meant significant changes for us. "Jennifer, this is amazing. I'm so proud of you," I said, pulling her into a hug. "But what does this mean for us, for our life here?" Jennifer's face fell slightly, the reality of the situation sinking in. "I know it's a big change, Mark, and I don't want to make any decisions without discussing it with you. This affects both of us." We sat down at the kitchen table, the letter between us, and began to talk about our options. Jennifer's excitement was palpable, but so was her concern for our future together. We discussed the pros and cons, the opportunities and challenges, and how we would navigate this new chapter in our lives. "I've always dreamed of working at a museum like the Met," Jennifer said, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. "But I don't want to force you into something you're not comfortable with." I took a deep breath, considering my own feelings. Our life in the small town had been comfortable and familiar, but it also felt like a bubble we had outgrown. Perhaps this was the opportunity we needed to push ourselves out of our comfort zone and grow together. "Jennifer, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you, and I don't want to hold you back. If this is what you want, then I'm willing to make the move." Her eyes filled with gratitude and relief. "Are you sure, Mark? It's a big change for both of us." I nodded, a sense of resolve settling over me. "I'm sure. We've faced bigger challenges together. We can handle this." With the decision made, we began the process of preparing for our move. It was a whirlwind of packing, saying goodbye to friends and family, and making arrangements for our new life in New York City. The prospect was both exciting and daunting, but we faced it together, supporting each other every step of the way. Our move to New York was a stark contrast to the life we had known. The city was vibrant and bustling, a constant hive of activity. It took some time to adjust to the fast-paced environment, but we found ways to carve out our own space and make it feel like home. Jennifer thrived in her new role at the museum. Her passion and expertise shone through in her work, and she quickly made a name for herself in the art community. I couldn't have been prouder of her, but I also faced my own challenges in finding my place in this new city. Initially, I struggled with the change. My work as a freelance writer allowed me the flexibility to live anywhere, but the city's frenetic energy was overwhelming. I missed the tranquility of our small town and the close-knit community we had left behind. However, I was determined to support Jennifer and make the most of our new life. I began exploring the city, finding solace in its parks and museums, and connecting with other writers and creatives. Slowly but surely, I started to feel more at home. Jennifer and I continued to prioritize our relationship, making time for each other despite our busy schedules. We explored the city together, discovering new favorite spots and creating new memories. One evening, as we walked through Central Park, Jennifer turned to me, her expression thoughtful. "Mark, I know this hasn't been easy for you. Thank you for supporting me and making this move with me." I smiled, squeezing her hand. "We're a team, Jennifer. We've faced so much together and we'll face whatever comes next. I'm proud of you, and I'm happy to be here with you." Our conversation was interrupted by the ringing of Jennifer's phone. She glanced at the screen and sighed. "It's the museum. I need to take this." I nodded, understanding. As she stepped away to take the call, I reflected on how far we had come. The challenges we had faced had strengthened our bond and taught us the importance of communication, trust, and mutual support. Jennifer returned a few minutes later, her expression apologetic. "I'm sorry, Mark. There's a last-minute issue with one of the exhibits. I need to go back to the museum." I smiled, understanding the demands of her job. "It's okay, Jennifer. I'll see you at home." As she hurried off, I continued my walk through the park, feeling a mix of pride and determination. Our move to New York had been a new challenge, but it had also been an opportunity for growth and rediscovery. We had faced it together, and we would continue to face whatever came next. Back at our apartment, I began working on a new writing project, finding inspiration in the city's energy and diversity. I realized that, despite the challenges, our move had opened up new possibilities for both of us. That night, when Jennifer returned home, we sat down to dinner, sharing stories from our day and making plans for the weekend. Our life in New York was different from what we had known, but it was filled with new opportunities and adventures. As we sat together, I felt a deep sense of contentment. We had faced many challenges in our journey, but we had always come through stronger and more connected. And as we embarked on this new chapter in our lives, I knew that we were ready to face whatever came next, together. The future was uncertain, but our love was unwavering. And with that love, we could conquer any challenge and build a life filled with joy, passion, and mutual support. As our lives settled into a new rhythm in New York City, Jennifer and I began to feel a sense of belonging in our adopted home. Despite the initial challenges, the city had embraced us in its own way, offering opportunities for growth, adventure, and connection. One afternoon, Jennifer came home with exciting news. "Mark, remember that cozy little apartment we saw in Brooklyn last weekend? Well, I went ahead and put in an offer, and it got accepted." I couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm. "That's fantastic, Jennifer. Brooklyn is a great neighborhood. It's starting to feel like we're putting down roots here." Moving into our new apartment felt like a fresh start. We spent weekends painting walls, assembling furniture, and making the space our own. It was smaller than our previous home, but it felt cozy and full of possibilities. As we settled into our new routine, we made an effort to explore everything the city had to offer. We visited museums, attended Broadway shows, and sampled cuisines from around the world. Each experience brought us closer together and deepened our love for our new home. One evening, as we walked hand in hand along the Brooklyn Bridge, watching the city lights shimmering on the water below, Jennifer turned to me with a smile. "Mark, do you remember when we first met? I never would have imagined our journey would bring us here." I squeezed her hand, feeling a surge of gratitude. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I'm grateful for every twist and turn that led us to this moment. Our conversation drifted to the future, to our dreams and aspirations. Jennifer talked about her plans for upcoming exhibits at the museum, and I shared my ambitions for my writing career. Despite the uncertainties, we faced the future with optimism and excitement, knowing that as long as we had each other, we could weather any storm. In the months that followed, our love continued to deepen and evolve. We faced new challenges together, but we also celebrated victories, both big and small. Through it all, our bond remained unbreakable. One weekend, we decided to take a stroll through Prospect Park, enjoying the beauty of nature in the heart of the city. As we sat on a bench, watching families and couples enjoying the sunshine, I felt a profound sense of peace settle over me. "Jennifer, no matter where life takes us, this feels like home," I said, wrapping my arm around her shoulder. She leaned into me, smiling. "You're right, Mark. Home isn't just a place, it's wherever we're together." As the sun dipped below the skyline, casting a warm glow over the city, I knew that we had found our home in each other. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, twists and turns, but through it all, our love had remained constant. As we walked back to our apartment, hand in hand, I felt a sense of completeness that I had never known before. Together, we had faced our demons, overcome obstacles, and forged a bond that was unbreakable. And as we stepped into our cozy apartment, surrounded by the lights and sounds of the city, I knew that there was nowhere else I would rather be. Our journey was far from over, but as long as we were together, I knew that we could face whatever the future held, hand in hand, heart to heart. And in that moment, I knew that we had truly found home. As time passed and our life in New York City settled into a comfortable rhythm, Jennifer and I found ourselves reflecting on the journey that had brought us to where we were. We revisited the moments that had tested us, strengthened us, and ultimately brought us closer together. One evening, as we sat on our apartment balcony, sipping wine and watching the city lights twinkle below, Jennifer turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mark, do you ever think about how far we've come?" she asked, her eyes scanning the skyline. I nodded, feeling a rush of emotions. "All the time. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?" We reminisced about the early days of our relationship, the challenges we had faced, and the moments of growth and transformation. We talked about the pain of betrayal and the hard work it had taken to rebuild trust. But we also celebrated the love, resilience, and commitment that had carried us through. "I never imagined our journey would take us here," Jennifer said, her voice tinged with emotion. "But I'm grateful for every twist and turn. It's made us who we are." I reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "Me too, Jennifer. Our journey hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. It's brought us closer and made our love stronger." As we talked, we realized how much we had grown as individuals and as a couple. Our experiences had taught us valuable lessons about communication, forgiveness, and the importance of cherishing each moment. In the midst of our reflections, we also talked about our dreams for the future. Jennifer spoke about her desire to curate more exhibits that celebrated diversity and inclusion in art, while I shared my ambitions to publish a book. "I believe in you, Mark," Jennifer said, her eyes shining with pride. "You have so much talent, and I know you'll achieve your dreams." Her words filled me with warmth and determination. "And I believe in you too, Jennifer. You're destined for amazing things, and I'll be here every step of the way to support you." As we sat together, surrounded by the hum of the city below, I realized how lucky I was to have Jennifer by my side. Our love had weathered storms and emerged stronger, and I knew that whatever the future held, as long as we faced it together, we could overcome anything. As the night deepened and the city quieted, we stayed on the balcony, lost in conversation and gratitude for the journey that had brought us to this moment. And as we held each other close, I felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that our love was a guiding light, leading us forward into whatever adventures awaited us next. As Jennifer and I continued to embrace life in New York City, we found ourselves on the brink of new beginnings, each filled with excitement and possibility. Our journey together had been marked by challenges and growth, but it had also prepared us for the adventures that lay ahead. One sunny afternoon, Jennifer came home with a radiant smile, clutching an envelope in her hand. "Mark, you won't believe it. Remember that book proposal you've been working on?" I looked up from my laptop, intrigued. "Yeah, what about it?" I showed it to a literary agent I know from the museum, and they loved it. "They want to represent you," Jennifer exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was a dream come true. "That's incredible, Jennifer. Thank you for believing in me." We shared a hug, both feeling a sense of validation and pride in this new development. It was a testament to our resilience and determination to pursue our dreams, no matter the obstacles. With Jennifer's support, I began working closely with the literary agent to refine my book proposal. It was a challenging process, but with each revision, I felt more confident in the story I wanted to tell. Jennifer's expertise in the art world proved invaluable, offering insights and perspectives that enriched my writing. Meanwhile, Jennifer's career at the museum continued to flourish. She curated groundbreaking exhibits that celebrated diversity and pushed boundaries, earning acclaim from both colleagues and the public. Her passion for art was contagious, and I admired her dedication to making a difference in the art world. As my book proposal progressed, Jennifer and I also began discussing another exciting possibility: starting a family. It was something we had talked about for years, but the timing had never felt quite right. Now, with our careers on track and our relationship stronger than ever, it seemed like the perfect moment to take that next step. One evening, as we sat in our cozy living room, I broached the subject. "Jennifer, I know we've talked about this before, but what do you think about starting a family?" She looked at me, her eyes shining with happiness. "Mark, I would love nothing more than to start a family with you." We talked late into the night, sharing our hopes and dreams for the future. We imagined what our life would be like with children, the adventures we would have, and the love we would share. It felt like the natural next step in our journey together. With our decision made, we began preparing for this new chapter of our lives. We turned one of the spare rooms in our apartment into a cozy nursery, painting the walls and assembling furniture with excitement and anticipation. As I worked on my book and Jennifer threw herself into her work at the museum, we also attended parenting classes together, eager to learn everything we could about raising a child. The prospect of becoming parents filled us with both joy and nervousness, but we knew we were ready to embrace the challenge together. One sunny morning, I received an email from my literary agent with exciting news. The book proposal had been accepted by a publishing house. Jennifer and I celebrated with hugs and laughter, feeling a sense of accomplishment and pride in how far we had come. As we stood on our balcony, overlooking the city that had become our home, I felt a surge of gratitude for everything we had experienced together. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but through it all, our love had remained steadfast. As we looked toward the future, filled with new beginnings and possibilities, I knew that as long as we faced it together, hand in hand, there was nothing we couldn't achieve. And with that thought in mind, we stepped forward into the next chapter of our lives, ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited us. The anticipation of starting a family filled our days with excitement and nervous energy as Jennifer's due date approached. We had spent months preparing, decorating the nursery, attending parenting classes, and eagerly awaiting the arrival of our little one. One crisp autumn morning, Jennifer woke me with a gentle shake. "Mark, I think it's time," she said, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. My heart raced as I jumped out of bed, adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was it, the moment we had been waiting for. I helped Jennifer gather her things, and we made our way to the hospital, our hands tightly clasped together. The hours that followed were a whirlwind of emotions: pain, excitement, anticipation. Jennifer labored with strength and determination, and I stood by her side, offering words of encouragement and support. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we heard the cries of our newborn baby filling the room. Tears welled up in my eyes as the nurse placed our tiny bundle of joy in Jennifer's arms. "It's a girl," the nurse announced, smiling. Jennifer and I looked at each other, our hearts overflowing with love. Our daughter was perfect, a tiny miracle that we had created together. As we held her for the first time, I felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over me. In that moment, nothing else mattered except the precious life we had brought into the world. We named her Emily, a name that felt both timeless and full of meaning. As we gazed at her tiny face, we knew that our lives would never be the same. In the days that followed, we marveled at the wonder of parenthood, feeding, changing diapers, and soothing our little girl to sleep. Despite the sleepless nights and the challenges, every moment with Emily filled our hearts with joy. Our families visited, showering Emily with love and affection. It was a joyous time, filled with laughter, tears, and countless precious memories. As we settled into our new roles as parents, Jennifer and I found ourselves growing even closer. We worked together as a team, supporting each other through the challenges and celebrating the milestones. One evening, as we sat together in the nursery, watching Emily sleep, Jennifer took my hand in hers. "Mark, she's perfect," she said, her voice soft with emotion. "She is," I agreed, feeling a swell of love for both of them. "And so are you." We sat together in peaceful silence, basking in the glow of our growing family. In that moment, surrounded by love, I knew that we had found true happiness. As we looked down at our sleeping daughter, I whispered a silent promise to her, to always be there for her, to love her unconditionally, and to cherish every moment together as a family. And as Jennifer leaned her head against my shoulder, I knew that our journey was far from over, but with Emily in our lives, it was more beautiful and meaningful than we could have ever imagined. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, our lives became a beautiful whirlwind of parenthood. Emily grew and thrived, filling our home with laughter, love, and countless unforgettable moments. Each day brought new joys and challenges, but through it all, our bond as a family only grew stronger. Jennifer and I found ourselves navigating the ups and downs of parenthood with a newfound sense of purpose and devotion. We reveled in the simple pleasures of watching Emily discover the world around her, her first smile, her first laugh, her first steps. One evening, as Jennifer and I sat on the couch cuddling with Emily between us, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with gratitude for the family we had created. "She's growing up so fast," Jennifer said, brushing a gentle hand over Emily's soft hair. "She is," I agreed, my heart swelling with love. "But every moment with her is a gift." As Emily drifted off to sleep in my arms, I looked at Jennifer, feeling a surge of love and admiration for the incredible mother she had become. "You're amazing, Jennifer," I said, leaning in to kiss her forehead. I couldn't have asked for a better partner in this journey. Tears welled up in Jennifer's eyes as she leaned her head against my shoulder. "And you're an incredible father, Mark. Emily is so lucky to have you." In the midst of our busy lives, we made sure to cherish the little moments, the bedtime stories, the family walks in the park, the messy finger-painting sessions. Each moment was a reminder of the love that bound us together as a family. As Emily grew older, we made it a priority to create new traditions and experiences together. We took family trips to the zoo, picnics in the park, and weekend adventures exploring the city. Every moment was an opportunity to create lasting memories. One weekend, we decided to visit Jennifer's parents, who lived in upstate New York. It was Emily's first trip out of the city, and we were excited to introduce her to her grandparents. As we arrived at their house, Emily was greeted with hugs and kisses from her doting grandparents. It was a heartwarming scene, filled with love and laughter. Over the weekend, we shared stories, cooked meals together, and took long walks in the countryside. Seeing Emily bond with her grandparents filled our hearts with joy, reminding us of the importance of family bonds. As we said goodbye and headed back to the city, I felt a sense of contentment wash over me. Our journey as a family was just beginning, and I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, as long as we had each other, we could overcome anything. Back in our cozy apartment, as Emily slept soundly in her crib, I looked at Jennifer, feeling immense gratitude for the life we had created together. "Our family is everything," I said, taking her hand in mine. "It is," Jennifer agreed, her eyes shining with love. "And I wouldn't have it any other way." As we settled into bed that night, surrounded by the quiet hum of the city, I knew that our love would continue to guide us through the joys and trials of parenthood, weaving a beautiful tapestry of family memories that would last a lifetime. As time passed, our lives settled into a beautiful rhythm of love, laughter, and shared experiences. Each day brought new adventures and challenges, but through it all, our family remained the center of our universe. One evening, as Jennifer and I sat together on the balcony, savoring a rare moment of quiet after putting Emily to bed, I couldn't help but reflect on everything we had been through. "Jennifer, do you ever think about how far we've come?" I asked, gazing out at the city skyline. "All the time," Jennifer replied, her voice soft. "It's been quite a journey." We talked about the challenges we had faced, the betrayal, the heartache, the uncertainties, but we also talked about the love that had carried us through, stronger than ever. "I'm so grateful for you, Jennifer," I said, turning to look at her. "For our family, for everything." "I feel the same way, Mark," Jennifer said, smiling. "I couldn't imagine my life without you and Emily." In that moment, surrounded by the glow of city lights, I felt a deep sense of gratitude wash over me. Despite the twists and turns, we had found our way back to each other, building a life filled with love and meaning. As the days turned into weeks and the seasons changed, we continued to cherish each moment together as a family. We celebrated birthdays, holidays, and everyday miracles. The sound of Emily's laughter, the warmth of a shared meal, the comfort of being surrounded by loved ones. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to the beach, a place where we had made many fond memories in the past. As we walked along the shore hand in hand, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. "Isn't it beautiful, Daddy?" Emily exclaimed, her tiny hand clutching a seashell she had found. "It is, sweetheart," I replied, lifting her up onto my shoulder. "Just like our family." Jennifer smiled, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "We're so blessed, aren't we?" "We are," I agreed, feeling a lump form in my throat. And I'm grateful for every moment." As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the ocean, I took Jennifer's hand in mine, feeling a sense of contentment wash over me. Our journey had been filled with challenges and triumphs, but through it all, our love had remained constant. As we walked back to our beach house, with Emily skipping ahead, I knew that no matter what the future held, as long as we had each other, we would always find our way back to love. And in that moment, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the warmth of family, I felt truly grateful for the precious gift of love that had brought us to where we were today. As the years passed, our family continued to grow and evolve, filled with love, laughter, and the beauty of everyday moments. Emily blossomed into a curious and kind-hearted young girl, bringing endless joy to our lives. One evening, as Jennifer and I sat in the living room, watching Emily play with her toys, I couldn't shake the feeling of gratitude for the life we had built together. "Jennifer, can you believe how fast time flies?" I said, a hint of nostalgia in my voice. Jennifer nodded, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "It feels like just yesterday she was a baby." We talked about our hopes and dreams for Emily's future, marveling at the young woman she was becoming. We wanted nothing more than for her to be happy, fulfilled, and surrounded by love. "I hope she knows how much she's loved," Jennifer said, her voice soft. "She does," I replied, reaching for her hand. "Our love has always been the foundation of our family." As Emily grew older, we made sure to instill in her the values of kindness, compassion, and resilience. We watched with pride as she excelled in school, pursued her passions, and embraced life with enthusiasm and determination. One summer, we took a family trip to visit Jennifer's parents in their quaint countryside home. It was a trip filled with laughter, storytelling, and the simple joys of being together as a family. As we sat on the porch one evening, watching the sun set over the rolling hills, Jennifer's mother turned to us with a smile. "You've built a beautiful family, Jennifer Mark," she said, her eyes brimming with love. "Your love and devotion to each other and to Emily, it's a legacy that will live on for generations." Her words struck a chord within me. Our family was indeed our greatest legacy, a testament to the power of love to overcome any obstacle and create something truly meaningful. As we returned home from our trip, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. Our journey together had been filled with ups and downs, but through it all, our love had remained unwavering. In the years that followed, Jennifer and I continued to cherish each moment together, knowing that our love was the greatest gift we could give to Emily and to each other. And as I watched Emily grow into a confident and compassionate young woman, I knew that our legacy of love would live on in her, guiding her through life's joys and challenges, just as it had guided us. As we sat together as a family, surrounded by love and laughter, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us to where we were today. A journey filled with love, resilience, and the beauty of family. As Jennifer, Emily, and I sat together on a quiet evening in our cozy living room, I found myself reflecting on the journey we had taken as a family. Our lives had been a tapestry, woven with love, laughter, and countless precious moments. "Do you ever think about all we've been through?" I asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Jennifer nodded, a thoughtful expression on her face. "All the time. It's been quite a ride." We reminisced about the challenges we had faced, the betrayals, the uncertainties, the joys, and triumphs. But most of all, we talked about the love that had sustained us through it all. "Our love has been our greatest strength," Jennifer said, her voice filled with warmth. "It has," I agreed, reaching for her hand. And I'm grateful for every moment of it. As Emily sat between us, listening to our conversation, I felt a swell of pride and love for the incredible young woman she had become. "Mom, Dad, I'm so grateful for everything you've done for me," Emily said, her eyes shining with emotion. Tears welled up in Jennifer's eyes as she pulled Emily into a tight embrace. "Sweetheart, you've brought so much joy into our lives. We're the lucky ones." In that moment, surrounded by my two greatest loves, I felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over me. Our journey as a family had been filled with ups and downs, but through it all, our love had remained constant. As we sat together, sharing stories and laughter, I knew that no matter what the future held, as long as we had each other, we could overcome anything. In the quiet moments that followed, I realized that our family's story was still unfolding. A story of love, resilience, and the beauty of shared experiences. And as we looked toward the future, I knew that our love would continue to be the guiding light that led us through whatever challenges and joys lay ahead. As we sat together, basking in the warmth of our love and togetherness, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. Our journey was far from over, but as long as we faced it together, hand in hand, heart to heart, I knew that our family would always find its way back to love.